Alright, what's up, Savages? So this last weekend we went out to the Kernel River. We promised you guys another video in our fire building series. A few things we wanted to do. We went out and searched for some punk wood, couldn't find any, so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. We're also going to show you a method of batoning as well as fire sticking. And while we were out there, I discovered that I didn't have my ferrocerium rod on me. Fenris just resurfaced it for me and I forgot it at home. So I had to start the fire with some flint and steel. It was really windy outside, so we had a unique way of how we did it, and we're going to show that to you guys today. Stay tuned, it should be a good show. Alright guys, so the knives we're going to be using today and that we use typically when we're out in the bush for our bushcraft knives are these K-Bar BK2s. We really like them. They are super hardy, sturdy knives, and they're all around, we found, great for everything. This is Fenris's. It's got some custom scales on it, and these are the scales that come with this one. So we'll get right to it.
Let you split that one down first and then I'll feather stick.
Cool. So I'm going to be batoning this wood. And guys, when you baton, I made this mistake early on. Baton with another piece of wood, something that's comfortable but still heavy enough to be able to baton. I batoned with a rock and metal and stuff in the past to ruin my knives. Don't do that.
So you can see what he's doing. He's keeping pressure on the back side of the knife while he's hitting that front corner, the point of the knife itself. What that does is that pushes the knife down through the wood at an even pace that way. And if you start to get twisted to one side or the other, there's ways around that as well. So if your wood starts to get twisted, something like that, you can do one of two things. You can try to push on the back of the knife, but sometimes it's real hard to do. So you can pick your wood up and just hit the bottom of it to straighten it out. And then the more pressure you put on the back, it's going to tilt that knife towards the back. The more pressure the harder you hit it in the front, it's going to do the opposite. It's going to tilt that way. So again, all you got to do is give that a little tap, and you can keep going.
Especially on harder woods, guys. So when we were out there, some people had left some wood out there, and the wood that they left out there, here, I'll help you out, bud. The wood that they left out there was oak. It was like seasoned oak, so it was really super hard to split.
One of the things too you want to remember when you're going to do a feather stick, we call this area right here in between your legs the triangle of death. And the reason we call it that is you've got two main arteries that run down both sides of the insides of your leg. So you don't ever want to be cutting and carving inside of here on any piece of wood, because if you slip, you're in a lot of trouble. Especially when you're in the woods all by yourself. My feather stick, I pick a nice corner, and just put little feathers on there. I'm riding those ridges, real nice and even. You can see I'm far enough out in front of me, I'm not in the triangle of death. Just to the point where we can get some easy feathers going. Now if you don't feel comfortable holding and pushing with your dominant hand, there's another way to feather stick. And you can take and put your knife, go ahead, you can put your knife right on the edge of your knee, and you can just draw that wood back. And you can see I'm still getting feathers that way as well. Roll with what you're comfortable with, guys. So you can see you've got some curls there, and that's basically what you're looking for. Get enough of those down and you've got your small tinder ready to go. Well, we're going to keep going on this. We're going to get a nice big bundle of tinder and kindling, and we'll be right back with you guys.
Alright guys, welcome back. So, before we talk about the flint and steel, what we did this last weekend is it was really super windy, and I was having a hard time getting my fire started with my flint and steel. So I got a little box like this, had a hole in it, put a little hole on the other side. I'm going to show you what that's demonstrated for in a second. And I went ahead and just threw the sparks into a tin kit like you're going to see Fenris doing. I'm going to do a little bit different method. I'm going to be using charred cloth. He's going to be using charred punk wood. We're going to see who gets number faster. And we're going to go ahead and put it right here. Now what we had the kids do is collect a bunch of dry grass, weeds, tinder, stuff like that, and fill the box up. We also put our shavings that you guys saw in there, and we put a little bit of fat wood, some pine. So if you guys can see that in there, and we're going to go ahead and toss this right here. Once we start to get flame, and you're going to see how we're going to do that in a second, we're going to set up all of our wood. Now we have our wood set up to our small little like pencil-sized woods, a little bit larger pieces of wood, and then even larger pieces of wood, and then you can see our pile over here that's our actual fuel. Alright, I guess let's get to this. Oh, real quick guys, I want to give a shout out to Lauren Doc Lumberio. He sent us this flint. It's been incredible. It's really super good stuff. We really appreciate him sending it to us. We wanted to give him a shout out to thank him for the flint that he gave us. And before we get started, a lot of people get confused on what flint and steel is as compared to a ferrocerium rod. We had other videos where we showed you what a ferrocerium rod is when we made our chart cloth. This here is a flint striker. It's a piece of carbonized steel, and this is flint. Now the flint's stronger than the steel, and the steel will actually flake off, and what's causing the spark is the flakes of the steel shaving off, okay?
Exactly right.
Different than a ferrocerium rod. All right, let's get to this. All right, I got a little ember already. I'm gonna toss that right in here. We're not gonna get this thing kicked off quite yet. You see how long it takes Fenris to get his.
I will say this is a little bit harder, especially when it's windy, to do it this way. There we go, got one. I don't know if you guys can see that, but...
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see that either, but you got an ember on both of these. Should be really quick. Now that's in there, guys, and there's like a little ember, what we're gonna do is just kind of put that tinder right around there. I'm gonna begin blowing. And why we put this little hole in the box is because now we can blow straight into it.
You want the air to pass all the way through that bird's nest.
You blow into the top of it, all that smoke's going to get in your face.
Now, that's an excellent way to start your ember, but if you're having problems with it, you can still blow from the top. You just don't want to inhale all that smoke.
And if you guys want to blow from the top to get a really good smoke going first, you're welcome to. Looking down in there, got a pretty good ember going. I'm going to start blowing from the side.
The three things you will always need for a fire is some form of spark or ember. You need oxygen or air, and some form of fuel. And that's whatever your spark or your ember will light. And the air is what's causing it to combust.
This is a process, guys.
It does tend to take a while. Key is you can't give up. There we go. You can see he's starting to make a lot of progress now because there's quite a bit of smoke coming out.
Guys, I'm having a really good success with this lower hole. Try blowing this upper hole.
There we go.
And you want to take long, steady breaths the whole time. You don't want to expel all of the air in your lungs at once, but you want long, steady breaths.
Reset this back in here.
The ember, if you get the ember right in the middle of your tinder or your bird's nest, it'll heat up everything around it. You don't want that ember to stay on top. It's got to be right in the middle. And usually what we'll tell people is to close that bird's nest around that ember.
Yeah, but you guys can see that bird's nest is closed about around it. You guys can even start to pack it in a little bit more. There's like next to no smoke right now. As you're blowing, you'll start to see the smoke go out.
You guys can see that big ember in there.
If you guys are working in teams, one person can start to get this ready when you guys are getting close. And we're getting a lot of smoke, so that means we're getting close. Probably going to be this last one right here. So now typically at this point, you can probably just take this whole thing and dump it straight into there.
I don't know if you guys can see all that smoke. I'm sure you can.
So at this point, oxygen, air, smoke. And this is what we did. We got it smoking really good like that. We dumped it straight upside down in here. There you go, guys. From here, a bunch of different fire lays that you can do. We're gonna do like a teepee method. You can break up these things and toss them right in here. Almost like you would in a Dakota fire hole.
One of the good parts about that box will burn a little bit slower than the rest of the bird's nest that's inside of it. So you can use that as walls to fortify your fire lay.
Again, guys, if your flame happens to go out or you guys have issues, don't give up. Keep trying.
I'm going to take all these. These are the small shavings too that we had done before. I'm just going to dump those right in there. And don't be afraid to get down there and blow too once you have your fire lay as well.
So there's a bunch of different fire lays. That's one of the things that we're going to start to go over in a lot of our videos, guys, are different fire lays. This is a TP method. Each fire lay kind of has their own benefits to it. And possible drawbacks. One of the drawbacks of this TP method, which we're not really going to experience here, is they tend to fall. Tend to collapse in on your fire. I'm going to kind of lay this over here.
Perfect. You got to remember heat rises, so you want your fuel above the flame. That way that fuel will heat up and it'll start to combust.
Guys, also, if any of you guys are wondering why I'm wearing this thing, you know, we got this thing a while back. Actually, Fenris got it. And one of the cool things about flint and steel is, and as you guys know, we kind of have a Viking themed thing. My family immigrated from Sweden. My grandma came over here from Sweden. And so we try to honor our roots as much as possible, which is why we have the Volknut, the knot of the fallen warrior. And have my little Mjolnir pendant here. But this is the way that Vikings would have started a fire, with some flint and steel. Char cloth, charred punk wood, something like that. Well, guys, this is your guys' fire. This is how you start it with flint and steel. If it's a really super windy, this is exactly what you would do, is you find something to kind of fortify your fire as it's getting started. And we hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for some other videos in the series. If you guys like this video, you like the content we're putting out, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. Thanks for all the support, guys, and as always, stay savage.
Home now, as home as I'll ever be. Oh, close your eyes and hold on to me. Oh, I'm home now, as home as I'll ever be.
Go.
All right, guys, so like I said, with the exception of the fact that this is a popcorn box, we're going to show you like the original Viking way to start fire. We got a hole in here for some ventilation, a hole on this side, and a hole on this side. So now that the ember's in there, all I'm going to do is blow in here a little bit. See,
What the heck are you doing?
see, look at that.
What,
Fire.
What the? There's nothing Viking about that.
It didn't light really well either. Hold on. There you go. All you gotta do is blow in it, and then you got fire. Viking.
Stay savage.
Stay savage.